There are moments in life when the pain cuts deeper than a sword, not from enemies, but from the hands of those we trusted. You gave your heart, you gave your loyalty, and in return, you were broken. But hear this clearly, heaven was watching. The one who sits on the throne did not turn his face away when you were crying alone in the dark. He saw every tear, heard every silent prayer, and felt every heartbeat that struggled to forgive. God does not forget, and he never abandons his children. There is a divine justice, and in his perfect time he moves, not with vengeance, but with righteous fire, not to destroy, but to restore you and redeem your story. If you've ever asked, why did they do this to me? Where was God when I was hurting? Will healing ever come? Then this message is for you. Because when God deals with those who hurt you, he doesn't just expose the darkness. He brings healing to your soul and raises you higher than your pain ever dared to take you down. Prepare your heart. What you're about to hear isn't just a sermon, it's a lifeline. There are moments in life when words fail to describe the depth of the hurt you've experienced. The kind of pain that doesn't show up on the outside, but quietly bleeds on the inside. It's the betrayal from a loved one, the abandonment by those you trusted most, the cruel words that pierced your soul and echoed in your heart long after they were spoken. You smiled on the outside, but no one saw the agony you carried. You functioned as though nothing was wrong, but deep down, you were collapsing, and through it all, you wondered, does anyone see what I'm going through? Does anyone care? Let this truth wash over your spirit. God sees, not just in a general sense. He sees you specifically, intimately, lovingly. Every tear you've cried in the silence of the night, every sigh that escaped your lips when no words could explain your pain, every thought you couldn't even bring yourself to pray, he saw them all. He heard every silent cry, and he felt every wound inflicted by others. When they turned their backs on you, he kept his face turned toward you. When you were cast aside like you didn't matter, he cradled your worth in his hands. When you were left bleeding emotionally, he stood beside you as the only one who truly understood. There is not a single wound in your soul that is hidden from the Lord. People may have ignored your suffering. They may have downplayed your pain, mocked your sensitivity, or even blamed you for the way you were treated. But God never dismissed your hurt. In fact, he treasures your tears. The scriptures say he keeps them in a bottle. Think about that. The God of all creation is so near, so attentive, so loving toward you that not a single tear escapes his notice. He collects them not to remind you of the pain, but to honor your endurance and faith through the suffering. The people who hurt you may have walked away, thinking there would be no consequence. They may have smiled as they wounded you, not realizing that the child of God they were hurting was being guarded by heaven itself. They may have thought they got away with it, but the Lord is not blind. He is not slow to respond. He is patient, yes, but never indifferent. God's justice may not always be immediate, but it is always intentional. He waits not because he has forgotten you, but because he is working all things for your good, even when it doesn't feel that way in the moment. Even when you didn't speak up, God still knew. Even when you tried to protect the people who hurt you, choosing peace over conflict, he still saw your heart. He knows how much you've forgiven, how much you've endured, and how much it cost you to stay silent when you could have retaliated. He sees the strength it took to keep walking in love when your heart was bleeding. He knows you wanted to give up, yet you still kept believing. He honors that. Heaven honors that. And one day you will see that none of it was wasted. So when it feels like no one understands, when your pain is invisible to the world, when you're silently breaking under the weight of what others did to you, remember, you are fully known by God, not just your actions, but your pain, not just your decisions, but your wounds, and he is not just watching, he is storing every detail, preparing to bring healing and justice in a way only he can. He doesn't need evidence. He doesn't require your defense. Because the truth is already in his hands, and so are you. When someone hurts you deeply, the natural human response is to want justice. Immediate, visible, and on your terms. You want them to feel the weight of what they've done, to understand the pain they caused, and perhaps even suffer the way you suffered. It's not because you are cruel, but because you were broken, you were wronged. You were left with wounds that words can't explain, and the ache in your heart demands answers. It demands fairness. It screams for restoration. But what often confuses us is that while we are desperate for justice, God responds differently. He doesn't move according to our emotions. His justice is not like man's revenge. His ways are far higher, far deeper, and far more redemptive than anything we could orchestrate. God does not deal with those who hurt you out of rage or revenge. He is not like the world that retaliates in hate or seeks satisfaction in the fall of an enemy. When God moves, he moves with purpose. When he disciplines, he does it with love. He never forgets your pain, but he also never loses sight of the soul of the one who inflicted it. That is the mystery and majesty of divine justice. It is both fierce and merciful. You may want God to strike immediately, to show the world you were right and they were wrong. You may want him to open the skies and defend you in front of those who humiliated you. But what God often does is much deeper. He works in the unseen, not only to restore you, but also to convict the heart of the one who wronged you. He seeks not only to rescue the wounded, but to redeem the one who wounded, not to justify their actions, but to break the cycle of sin and restore all things through his perfect will. While the world teaches payback, God teaches patience. While others preach retaliation, God calls you to trust. Because when he begins his work, it's not shallow, it's eternal. God doesn't act to make a scene. He acts to make a change. The person who betrayed you may be walking around as though nothing happened, but they are not beyond the reach of God's justice. The Lord knows how to confront a conscience. He knows how to wake up a hardened heart. He knows how to bring a person to their knees, not to humiliate them, but to transform them. And while you may never see that process unfold before your eyes, you can rest assured that heaven is not passive. Heaven is active. Justice is not always public, but it is always personal with God. There are things only God can do in the hearts of people. If he acted according to our emotions, he would only hurt what he is trying to heal. If he crushed everyone who failed us, how many would be left? But instead, he teaches us to release the need to punish and trust the one who judges perfectly. When you surrender your pain to him, you're not letting them off the hook. You're putting them on his altar. You're saying, Lord, I know you see, I know you will act, I know you care more than I do, and in that surrender there is freedom, because God never forgets, never misjudges, and never delays without reason. It may be hard to accept at first, especially when the pain is fresh and justice seems so far. But in time, you will see that God's way brings something human vengeance never could: peace, true, unshakable peace. Because when he deals with those who hurt you, he doesn't just make things right. He makes you whole, and he ensures that nothing from your pain is wasted. Not a tear, not a scar, not a moment. It all becomes part of the story he's writing, one that ends in glory, not grudges. Before God ever lifts his hand to correct those who caused your pain, he first reaches out to you, the one who was broken, bruised, and left to carry the weight of silent suffering. The heart of God is always directed toward healing his wounded child before dealing with the offense. He is not in a hurry to punish, because his first priority is to restore what was shattered within you. He knows that wounds left unattended can grow into bitterness, and bitterness can become a prison that traps your soul. That is not the life he designed for you. God wants more than revenge for you. He wants restoration, freedom, and peace that surpasses all understanding. He knows the emotional toll it took just to keep standing. He understands that the betrayal drained your spirit and left you questioning your worth. He sees how your trust was shattered and how hard it has become for you to believe in love again, in friendship again, in people again. But God doesn't let your healing depend on others. He doesn't wait for apologies from those who hurt you before he begins to mend you. He starts with you because you are his beloved. He starts with you because your heart matters more than vengeance. He starts with you because your journey is not over, and he refuses to let your pain define the rest of your life. There is a sacred tenderness in how God deals with the broken-hearted. He doesn't rush you to move on or demand that you forget. No, he walks with you through every tear, every memory, every moment of anguish. He speaks truth to the lies you've believed about yourself because of how others treated you. He reminds you that your value was never in the hands of those who misused it. He reaffirms your identity in him, and little by little, he breathes life into places inside you that felt spiritually dead. He brings you to a place where you're no longer surviving from day to day, but rising again with a purpose, a quiet strength, and a peace that defies what you've been through. And while he's healing you, he's also preparing to deal with the ones who caused the harm, but not in the way we often imagine. God's judgment is not a reckless strike of punishment, but a perfectly timed act of righteousness. It doesn't come out of rage, but out of justice tempered with mercy. He may allow the person who hurt you to confront the weight of their actions through their own conscience. He may bring them into seasons of exposure, isolation, or internal struggle, not because he hates them, but because he wants them to see what they've become and turn away from it. But he does this while protecting you from being entangled in their downfall. And here lies the beauty of God's way. He can heal the victim and redeem the offender without compromising justice. But make no mistake, God never lets injustice go unanswered. He is holy, he is just. What they did to you is not dismissed, it's being dealt with, but in his order. And part of his order is ensuring you are whole before anything else unfolds. Because if he acts in judgment while you are still bleeding, you may tie your healing to their consequences. You may think justice will bring peace, but it won't if your heart is still broken. That's why God prioritizes your restoration first. He wants you to be free even if they never say sorry. He wants you to walk in power even if they never admit what they did. He wants you healed, strong, and rising above the pain, not forever looking back, waiting for someone else's fall to make you feel whole. You are not forgotten. You are not left behind, and God's timing is never too slow. It is wise, it is strategic, and it is rooted in eternal love. So while you may not see immediate justice, trust that your healing is already underway. Trust that he is preparing you for something greater, something deeper, something that doesn't just repair your heart, but redefines your future. The pain they caused will not be your ending. God is writing a new chapter, one where you're not just a survivor, but a testimony of what divine healing truly looks like. God's justice begins with your healing. He sees your pain, restores your soul, and lifts you above the hurt. Trust him, he will deal with those who wronged you, but first he will make you whole.